What up, Punk and Petty, and in today's video we will be following the travels of three characters in the movie The Day After, released in 1983, directed by Nicholas Meyer. Now, I won't be going over the plot because I really want all of you, if you have not already, to go and watch this movie. It is incredibly great. I feel like it has one of the best build-ups to like a nuclear event. It's so intense and I want you all to experience that, but there will be, I guess, some spoilers throughout this video, so spoiler warning. So for this video, we will primarily be following Dr. Russell Oakes, Airman First Class Billy McCoy, and Stephen Klein, or Stefan, I'm not sure how they pronounce it. The reason why we're doing this is because they are the main characters throughout this movie that I believe have the most traveling. We will also mention the Dahlberg family as they meet up with Stephen Klein later on during this movie, but we won't be talking about them so much. Prior to the nuclear war, we get to see Dr. Russell Oakes in Kansas City, Missouri, where he spends time with his family. He has a conversation with his daughter about moving away, spends time with his wife at their home, as well as going to one of his son's football games. The Dahlberg family is at their home in Harrisonville, about 40 miles, 60 kilometers southeast of Kansas City. Here they are getting ready for their eldest daughter's wedding, while the father is increasingly getting worried about the news on the TV. At this time, Stephen Klein, who ends up meeting up with the Dahlbergs later on, is currently in Kansas City as a pre-med student and is about to leave to go back home after hearing about the rising tensions between the East and the West. Airman First Class Billy McCoy is on his way back home to Whitman Air Force Base near Sedalia, Missouri, about 47 miles or 76 kilometers southeast of Kansas City. Unfortunately, due to the rising tensions, McCoy is quickly recalled back to man his position at the Minuteman launch site in Sweet Sage, Missouri, about 20 miles, 32 kilometers east of Kansas City. Next to this site in Sweet Sage, the Hendricks family is working on their farm, but I won't be talking about them in this story at all because they end up getting clapped quite early on. When the tensions are at the highest as Eastern and Western forces are beginning to form up in Germany, at this time Oakes is on the highway driving to the hospital in Lawrence, out towards the west of Kansas City. The Dahlbergs are readying their household for the worst of the worst as Klein is hitchhiking south towards his home in Joplin, Missouri, and McCoy has made it to the missile silo in Sweet Sage. When the war has come to an ultimate climax and nuclear missiles are now being launched, the city is in a frantic panic for safety as civilians flee the area and many are making their way into basements. When the nuclear payloads hit the region, Kansas City is hit directly, and also a nearby military base which is witnessed by Oakes as an EMP stops his vehicle from working on the highway. Stephen Klein has now just made it around the Harrisonville area where the Dahlbergs are hidden away in their basement. McCoy, who is now on the road towards Whitman Air Force Base, is trying to get home to his wife and child. The nuclear detonations occur across the country as military bases and missile silos are targeted, as well as key infrastructures and cities, and are utterly destroyed. I've highlighted areas that contain military bases, the bombings in Kansas City, as well as the Whitman Air Force Base, and also a large area towards the east of Kansas City that I believe where the missile fields are located. But unfortunately, I couldn't find any real-life missile fields in Kansas, so I'm mainly going off my own assumptions and opinions with this one. And the reason why I'm choosing this large region to the east of Kansas City is because of the destruction around Harrisonville, Sedalia, and the Green Ridge area. Once recovering from the recent blasts, Oakes walks all the way to Lawrence where he and his colleagues will try to help the public as they come flooding in from all over for medical assistance. At this time, McCoy is walking on foot towards his wife and child towards Whitman Air Force Base, but discovers that the region is utterly wiped out, and to which he then decides to turn around and walk towards Lawrence with the newfound friend who is unable to speak. Stephen comes across the Dahlberg family since his hitchhiking can only take him this far, and they allow him to take shelter in their basement until things get better. As time goes on, Oakes realizes that he is suffering from the effects of radiation and decides he wants to see his home before he dies and makes a trip to Kansas City. McCoy makes it to Lawrence where he is now a patient who's suffering more and more from radiation sickness. Stephen Klein, who recently just helped the Dahlbergs' eldest daughter while being outside, is now sick from radiation, but the daughter is now even more ill, and he decides to take her and the young son who was blinded by the blast over to Lawrence for medical help. During the end of the story, we get to assume that Oakes succumbs to his illness and dies in Kansas City. McCoy most likely dies in Lawrence. Stephen, now getting more ill himself from the radiation sickness, decides to bring home the Dahlbergs back to Harrisonville. I don't know about you, but I always wonder stuff like this anytime I watch these sort of disaster movies, like where exactly are they going? Where are they all at the same time? Because we get to follow multiple stories, so I just felt like I wanted to map that out. I hope you enjoyed this. If you feel like I'm wrong in some areas, or there may be other blast sites, or maybe the missile fields are in the wrong areas, most definitely do comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Punk and Petty. See ya.